Hello, y'all. Welcome to the live. I was waiting on y'all to come in here. So there was a little thunder music because this is going to be about narcissists and text messaging part 7, y'all. So thank you so much for coming in. I waited on you. I waited on you. And the reason I began this live with the thunder, not music. I didn't mean to say music. I meant to say sound because you will avoid thunder through watching my narcissist and text messaging parts. I've done narcissist and text messaging part one, two, three, four, five, six. And so this is part 7. And so this one's going to be about the married man. Okay. And remember, I explained that this same concept can happen to a man as well. So when I say the married man, include the married women. Okay. So I'll give you a little recap, but remember, to get all the juicy details, you got to go back and watch those other parts 1 through 6. This is part 7. Let me see. I got someone in here that's saying what? So, Katrina Roll 2685. Thank you so much for coming into the live. This live is about narcissists and text messaging, part 7, and it's going to be about the married man that I discussed in parts 1 through 6. Just one married man. And then Ed Elijah, N8C6W, welcome to the live. And this is narcissists and text messaging part 7. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in. And the rest of y'all, I'm confident you'll watch the live later. Okay. People are still celebrating the holidays. And so I'm not concerned. People will watch it later. Okay. So to begin, narcissist and text messaging part 7. The married man is a man that I am in a friend group with that I've known since childhood. And he started crossing some boundaries with me. And one of those boundaries was calling me from a work phone, texting me from a work phone, has been doing so since February of this year, February of 2025. And at first, when he began calling me and texting me from the work number, I was unaware that it was his work number. Okay. And he began crossing some boundaries over a period of time. And I talk about ways to handle it. So, okay, I'm going to go in here. It continued. He continued to message me through that work phone number. When a married person is contacting you with a company work phone, they are sneaking behind their spouse's back, and you should not be supporting it. That is not your husband or your wife. And so you want to get out of that situation as soon as you realize that it's happening. Okay. So I'm going in here so I can explain to you how this went. Okay. So when I did narcissist and text messaging part 6, I blocked the number. Okay. I blocked the number. So I'm trying to find out why it doesn't these phone logs are weird, y'all, because I'm trying to find, I don't know why numbers unblock themselves sometimes. Gosh. So anyway, from the last narcissist and text messaging part 6, I blocked his number. Okay. And so, oh, I put it in the screenshots. Yeah, that's what I did. So I blocked his number. And so for the next couple of days after the blocking, so I can pinpoint when that would have happened, because I like to kind of give you realistic dates and stuff. So you can kind of know how it goes. Okay. As far as like timeliness and how narcissists will have you in their schedule. Okay. So if I go to my lives, Oh, thank you so much for the subscriber. If I go to my lives, Narcissist and Text Messaging Part 6, that was done on December 16th, 2025. Okay. So that's when that was done, December 16th. So, um, why isn't it? Okay, so what it did, okay, so I blocked the number. Okay. So on that particular live, I blocked the married man's work phone number, not their marital phone number, just the work phone number, the number that he's sneaking around, texting me every day, contacting me every day. So so then I did a screenshot of how it worked when I started getting calls from when it was blocked. Okay, so immediately after I blocked the married man's phone number, and I did that around December 16th, I did it on that live. And remember the work phone number, I began, remember when you block somebody's number now, it will show you when they're calling you. Okay. So, and I like that feature per se because you still know they're contacting you and it's good for policing information. However, if you don't want to see the call at all, you usually will have to go through the phone company or your phone carrier. So I blocked the married man, so I was not able to see his text anymore. And then when he called, it shows the little blue circle. Okay, so I got that done. So, what I want to discuss here, because sometimes y'all wonder, well, why is somebody that's married, that's in your friend group, why would they start crossing their boundaries? Why would they start crossing the boundaries of you and their wife or husband? And in this case, this is a man crossing his boundaries, crossing boundaries towards himself, because he's also, when he disrespects his wife, he's crossing his own boundaries too. Because one of his boundaries should be to be faithful, okay, and be loyal to his wife and respectful of any person that's unmarried or married that's within their friend group. So, one of the things the married man said was that his wife called, she decided to abandon the whole family. She will be gone out of state or out of the country or wherever he says she's going for approximately 2 years. And none of that was true. Okay. So he got a little advice from me and got a little of my attention through telling this lie. And so I just blocked the work phone. Now, since that time, since I blocked his work phone number, he has not called me through the marital phone, which is what I want him to do. I don't want anybody else's husband contacting me and they don't really have good intentions. So, what I would like to go over first is how intuition always helps me. Okay. And this is what I mean by this. What went on before he decided to get aggressive and start texting and calling me from a work number behind his wife back? What went on? Well, one thing that went on was that he wanted to come to my residence and I did not allow it. Okay. So my instinct told me he should not be in my residence. Also, number two, he does not know where I live. My instinct told me not to let this married man know where I live. And he hadn't done anything to me. I just followed instinct. Third, this particular married man tried to line me up to rent from them. Okay, so this particular married couple. They're purchasing numerous properties. And so the married man mentioned that I could be one of their renters. Um, I do not get involved in situations like that because, for one, it's a conflict of interest and it's not true independence. Um, you're independent when you go rent from someone that doesn't know you. So, what happens is, I mean, I know what things will make my property managers upset with me, tearing up their place, not paying rent, and stuff like that. However, when you're renting from people that you know, it's not always a good deal, okay? Because they could get mad at you for any reason. Like the married man could have got mad at me and decided to end the lease agreement with me because I wasn't willing to have an affair with him, stuff like that. Now, that same situation can happen if you're renting from people you don't know, but if it's a larger property, it will be less likely to happen. As long as I don't go date my property managers, I'm not going to be a target for that most of the time. So, if I was dating one of the property managers and then I broke off the relationship, then they could be pissed at me and try to evict me or not renew my lease or do something like that. So the third thing this married man did was try to mention to me that I could rent from him. So when someone that's narcissistic wants to rent to you, um, they want to assert power and control over you. They're not trying to help you in no way. They just want to be able to say, I'm the property owner. This person rents to me or rents from me. If you rent from a narcissist, everybody gonna know that you rent from the narcissist. They will let everybody that know y'all know that you rent from them. They just will. And how I know that is because he's already renting some properties to his family members and friends right now. And he brags and says, well, if they don't pay rent, he got to put them out. And I know exactly who is renting from him. I may not know everybody, but the ones that I personally know, he's told me about them. So this is the reason you don't rent from friends. Some family members don't do it with, I'm going to say some, because some family members, it might be cool to do it, but this is not a blood relative. So prior to this disrespect and crossing boundaries and disrespecting himself, his wife, and me through constantly, repeatedly texting and making calls from a work phone behind his wife's back, he's crossing boundaries, is highly narcissistic. And before he started doing this, these was the three things that my instinct told me not to do. My instinct told me, don't have him over to my place, don't let him know where I live, and do not rent from him. So you want to always have your situation prepared for betrayal. Okay. So I hope hello, thank you so much for coming into the live. I hope that this is helping y'all some. So what happens a lot of times with me before the betrayal or before this person turns on me completely, I've already prepared an escape, or I've made a foundation of the situation. So when the person turns on me or goes to war with me, I'm already prepared. And the preparation came way before they betrayed me. Because remember, this married man, I've known him since childhood, and he's in my friend group. So I already prepared for the attack when I told him, no, I'm fine where I'm at. I didn't respond when he said he wanted to rent one of their properties to me because he knows I'm a good payer. Okay, so he's basing that based on knowing me and that I would be a guaranteed person that would pay his mortgage or pay him his rent so he could pay his mortgage. I never said no, I just listened. So when he was lining me up for that position, this was before he started disrespecting me, y'all, and trying to, like, in a subtle way, make it inappropriate. Now, imagine this. Imagine if I was renting from him and his wife. Imagine that. See, because this is what you got to understand. This particular married man, he was going to turn on me and his wife and betray his wife, even if I would have rented one of their properties. He was going to do this on his wife. He was going to try to create a relationship with me that's inappropriate outside of his wife. He would have done that even if I would have rented from him and his wife. What about this? I would have said, yeah, I'll rent from y'all, and I'll come home from work, and this nigga sitting up in my living room that I'm renting. Because remember, whoever you're renting from, they have a key to get in. Never forget that. So imagine me coming home, this nigga sitting up on my furniture saying, what about me and you, Irene? So see, I already prepare for those situations, and I prepare for it by following instinct and having a standard. I don't rent properties from friends and non-blood relatives. I do not do that. Non-blood relatives that are my associates or friends, I don't do that. Because for one, I know they're going to sell their house. That's a separate reason not to do it. A good friend of yours usually is not going to be honest and say, you know what, I'm only going to rent this house out for 2 years. And then in 2 years, you're homeless. And they ain't going to do nothing to help you. This property I'm at now, I've been here over 5 years. Okay. So you may have more longevity when you rent from people you do not know that are non-relatives. They're just business professionals. Rent from people like that. So that is my recommendation, and that is my standard. So when he was trying to line me up a few years ago saying he would rent to me, and this was way before him and his wife purchased numerous properties. I knew when he was saying he wanted to rent to me, I knew that they were getting ready to buy properties. I knew that before they purchased their properties. I did. I knew that. And it played out just like I knew it. But the thing is, I can block him. I can block that work number because I am not under his control or his wife's control. This is Narcissist and Text Messaging Part 7, y'all. It is a conflict of interest to be renting from non-blood relatives, old friends and associates that you know, and usually it won't turn out best. But there's rare cases where it can turn out okay, but usually not. Rare cases it can turn out okay. Take that option if you have like a felony on your record, and you know that a lot of corporations and even private owners may not rent to you. But if you are a non-felon, you do not need to rent from friends or associates or people you know. You can rent from anyone you like. Somebody will rent to you. However, in certain circumstances, if you're in a situation where you got one felony on you or a lot of felonies on you, and you understand that a lot of people will not rent to you, then take that option. That will be your better option. Remember, everything is on a case-by-case basis. So The next thing people wonder is with narcissism text messaging part 7 here, people lack understanding of why it's happening. Because you'd be like, dang, he got it all. He got a good wife, properties, kids. From the outside, everything looks normal. It may, but that does not mean that him or his wife are truly happy. Be careful with what you see on the outside. So then a person may wonder, well, goodness, he seems so faithful to his wife. Why would this married man in this narcissism text messaging part 7, why would he betray his wife, disrespect me as a lady, and disrespect himself in that way? Why would he do that? And this is why. Okay, I want you to look at this. Cheaters, married men, and married women, when they start cheating, you have to remember this. Look at the age they were when they got married. So and this may help you determine way before they do it who may do this to you. I may be like profiling these people at this point, right? Like how criminal profilers, they develop a characteristic of people that are more likely to do certain things. So that's what I mean by profiling, not profiling like stereotyping or anything like that, but a profile of the kind of person that would do this. So if I was able to look at the red flags, these would be some of the red flags that this was to come. Some of the red flags that this particular married man would sneak behind his wife or attempt to make a pass at me is this. Number 1, he married when he was almost in his mid-30s. Okay. What this information tells me is that he may not really be marriage material. See, remember, narcissists have a facade. Empaths have an actual personality. See, empaths have multiple personality, not disorder, but you have multiple personalities. So I'm able to be a YouTuber, hang out with my sons and be a mother. I'm able to be the cleanup lady when it's time to clean my house. I can be like a maid and cleaner. But the difference is all of these are my actual personalities, not a facade. I was cleaning up the residential part of my grandmother's restaurant when I was a very young child. I helped do some cleaning. I mean, she had her maids and stuff come in and service helpers that came in to help. But at the end of the day, the basic cleaning I did on my own. Just the basic sweeping, making sure ain't nothing up under the bed, making up the bed, stuff like that I did on my own. Cleaning the sink out. You know, by the time the maids came to help clean up the residential part, they wasn't saying, ooh, this a nasty motherfucker here. Because the basic cleaning I was doing from a very young age. So that's actually one of my personalities, is being a cleaner, not a multiple personality disorder. Multiple personality disorder, now that's something separate. If I start naming her and I'm like, this is Sandra, let me go get Sandra to clean the kitchen. I'm not doing no shit like that. But I'm trying to point out, narcissists have facades. Those are people that they're pretending to be. And empaths, we have personalities that are genuinely ours. So if you're somebody and you good at hair and you're like a genius beautician, you know about skin, hair, the body. This is like something you're gifted in. That's actually one of your personalities. Now, if a narcissist does it, it's their facade. So they're going to be burning motherfuckers' hair out. It's kind of like the old school people, you know, people that used to get the Jerry curls that now have to shave their whole head bald. It's a lot of people that got Jerry curls back in the day that are not bald right now because they went to a beautician that was empathic, that actually had a genuine personality. It wasn't a facade. So this beautician would say, hey dog, your head done had enough of the Jerry curl. What about if I press it? So just having honesty there too. But this is narcissism text messaging part 7. And so one of the red flags is this. Way before he started crossing these boundaries and sending me these inappropriate text messages and stuff all behind his back. And they're inappropriate because he's doing it behind his wife's back. And he shouldn't be calling me beautiful. He did this way back between like February and April, calling me beautiful through his work text messaging. He shouldn't be doing that. He's married to someone else. He just shouldn't be doing that. I don't want that attention from him. So one of the red flags is you got to go back and look at this married person's history. For one, he got married about 34, 35 years old. His wife was quite a bit younger, okay? She's at least 10 years younger, 10 to 15 years younger than him, okay? So he was 34, 35 when he got married. That's an old age to get married, and you're not in the penitentiary. Now, if you've done 10 or 15 years in prison, or you've been in prison since you've been a juvenile, and you get out when you're 34, 35, and you get married, that's normal. But if you marry very late in age and you weren't in the penitentiary, it's a sign that you are not truly marriage material. You're doing it because it's an opportunity and you're love bombing someone, getting yourself enmeshed in a different culture for some married men. However, it's not the person's true nature. Okay, now, prior to this married man getting married, what was the type of women that he dated? Okay, I'm going to tell you who they were. They were normally single mothers, what the world calls single mothers. They were mothers that were raising their children without a dad in the home. Or they were women that did not have children. And the reason this was a target for him, he would pick ladies that did not have children so they could be a stepmother to his child. Okay. So he preyed on women that didn't have kids because they would be an excellent stepmother. And they were. I saw it for myself. And he preyed on single mothers, what this world calls single mothers. And they would be different races. Sometimes they would be Black, but they were, some of them were foreigners as well. Okay. He did not mind dating foreigners. Okay. So that's a red flag. So going into today, what am I? I'm unmarried. I'm not in a committed relationship, right? So I fall in line with who his prior supply used to be. They were single mothers or women that did not have children. Okay. So I fall in line with his prior victims. Now, another thing, a second sign that this will be coming is this. He always tells me this. Irene, before I got married, when he lived with women, he would always live with these women. Okay. He would move in their places. These single mothers and these particular independent women that didn't have kids, he would always move in their place. So number 2, guess what he would do, y'all? He never paid their bills or paid towards the rent. He would not help these single ladies. He lived with them. He got sex from them, but he did not help pay the rent. And he admits that he did this with every single one of them. Now, this is what this does. Because that's his true nature, and he did that for such a long period of time, don't think for 1 minute when it's time for him and his wife to pay the bills that he does not struggle in that area. He will struggle in that area, because from the time he was a young teenager to his mid 30s, he was able to live with women for free and not give them a dime. Okay? So he did that behavior for so long. You're talking about 16 years, up to 16 years of that behavior. So, with a married person like this, or a married man like this, in this case, we're just going to add the man on it. It's going to be very hard for him to be completely happy in his current marriage because his true nature is a man that prefers not to pay the bills. Okay? I hope this is making sense. So it definitely will be a struggle. That's why when a man is a con artist, it backfires on him. Now, what if he would have been the type of man where I'm living in this woman's house, I'm going to give her a little bit of rent? He wouldn't be such a con artist. And he may not be so upset and unhappy to be in a marriage. Because when a man is going behind his wife back to cheat, it is a sign that he's uncomfortable and there's some unhappiness there. But in this particular married man, because I've known him since childhood, and I do have emotional empathy and cognitive empathy, I can pinpoint why he's miserable. He went from 18 years old to 34, 35 years old, staying up in single women's houses for free. He sure did. Now he gets married about 34 years old. You think this man gonna be happy? No, because he's went against his pimp nature. This is a pimp that's decided to go in the Lord's zone. See, when a man is married and he enters into a marriage, he's no longer a pimp. He's entered into the Lord's zone. So he's a provider, a caregiver, a responsible man, a protector. So this particular married man, I can see where his struggles are truly affecting him. He mentioned this to me. One day we was talking on that work phone, and he brought up that he used to do well when he was by himself. He reminisced about how it used to be back in the day. Now, because of his background, he may, in some sense, resent his marriage. He may go through a midlife crisis and wish he had never did it. Marriages are not all beautiful. He may wish sometimes he didn't have to get off work and go straight home. A lot of people that are married will regret their marriages later on. Give it 20 years. And see, what happens is they will notice this, okay? Married people will notice this, that I ain't having a problem. I ain't got to do shit I don't want to do. If I don't want to cook, I don't have to. I got sons, not a man. If I don't want to cook that day, I ain't got to. And you know, some ladies will end up having a man that way. I mean, if she gets lucky, she finds a man that don't want to be her slave master. Okay, but a lot of ladies will not be fortunate enough to find that. So this is the problem with this particular married man. So when you have known people since you were a youth, young adult, or since childhood, and they come out of pocket and start making passes at you or trying to create a relationship with you that is inappropriate, just look at who they were before they got married, because you knew them before they got married. I knew this married man before he got married. So he was basically a pimp. Not a formal pimp, but he had a pimp mentality. When you go in ladies' houses, no matter who it is, and you work a job and you don't pay no rent, and none of these women stayed with him. So finally, he meets this pretty young thing. She's from a different culture, and he knows he cannot do that. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I know this part too. His wife family did not want her to be with him. She's disconnected from some of her relatives that are of a different culture that did not want her to be married to this gentleman. I do know that part too. So sometimes your family is protecting you, y'all. Now look, she got a whole cheater on her hand. And if he's trying to create a relationship with me and cross boundaries, calling and texting me from his work phone, I blocked it. I blocked him. I received 2 more calls all around the same time, between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. He would always call me from that work phone around the same time. Also, what he's doing is grooming me to be a side chick, not contacting me on weekends, but contacting me during daylight hours. Okay. So this is what he's doing as well. Also, another point that I was going to bring up about this situation. Okay. I forgot what it was. His prior background, the married man grooming me. I match up to his old targets. I do. I'm unmarried and I have children that still live at home. These type of people are judgmental too, because for him to cross those boundaries, this married man has to feel like I'm not happy being without a man. And that's totally not true. I am very happy and content not having a man. It's not bothering me at all. I would rather be in this situation than to be his wife. I'm so glad I'm not his wife. So once you block this particular married person, you have to proceed with caution. You might have to think twice before you go around so quickly. Because what you don't want to happen, you don't want to go to somebody's house and this man say, you know, Irene touched my booty. You know, you just don't want to be in this type of situation. I comfortably blocked his number, that work phone, because I don't fear that I'm going to need to get the police involved. Also, he did not. Once I blocked his work number, he made about 2 more calls. And he did not contact me from his work phone anymore after those 2 block calls came through. And he also did not contact me from the marital phone number. I think it's very unhealthy for anybody that does not have a man at home to be communicating with someone else's husband on a regular basis. It just should not be happening, and it's not healthy, and it's not guiding you in the right direction. And I will keep that work phone number blocked. If him and his wife need to contact me, they can contact me from their marital lines. You got to show people that when you are unmarried and you are not committed to a man, you don't need company and calls. I actually do not need those, especially from somebody else's husband. So this is Narcissist and Text Messaging Part 7. He chose me because I fit the criteria of his prior victims. But this is one thing he forgets. his prior victims were very, very young. They didn't know any better. And also, he's forgetting that when he had these prior victims, prior to him being 34 or 35 years old when he got married, he was not married. He might not have been able to pull those victims in if he was married. See, that's the narcissistic part of somebody. They forget their new situation. He's trying to pull in ladies that do not have a man that they're committed to, whether it be a husband or a boyfriend or a significant other. He's trying to pull that supply in, thinking I fit that criteria, but he's in a different situation. So this prior pimp with this pimp mentality, he forgets that his situation has changed, just like any other pimp. Just say if he was out there and he was a real pimp, and that's what he used to do back in the day, and he was fine and could pull all the new prostitutes in. Real pimps forget that they fat, ugly, and old. And this is how some ladies may talk about them. Say they fat, ugly, and old and crippled. Because see, the pimp, he still thinks that he back in the day. He really does. So y'all, please like, share, and subscribe. Let me see what I can do. I'll tell you, the device, when it's getting ready to go out, let me see. I plugged it in. Okay. I plugged it in, y'all. So never mind. I plugged the device in. So I'm not going to go anywhere just of yet. I just got to make sure that it's charging up and not powering off. Because sometimes it's powering off. So I just got to make sure of that. So let me see. Let me see. Okay, it looks like it's going down. It looks like it's going down. Let me see where it's at now, y'all. Let me see. Please like, share, and subscribe, y'all. Tune in for more. This is Narcissist and Text Messaging Part 7, y'all. Thank you. Bye.